Hello, dear friends. Myself, Dr. Sureka Jaiswal, Head Department of Physics, Moreshwar Arts, Science and Commerce College, Bukargan. Today we will see electricity and magnetism, course code number PHY 105, paper number 5. Now, today's contents are Gauss law, differential form of Gauss law, electric potential, potential at a point due to a point charge, potential difference between 2 points, potential due to a group of point charges, potential difference between 2 points, potential due to group of point charges, potential and field due to electric dipole, electric field, dielectrics, polarization of dielectric, Gauss law in dielectrics. Now see Gauss law. Carl Friedrich Gauss gave a theorem known after his name, Gauss theorem, that relates net outward electric flux through any hypothetical closed surface called Gaussian surface to the net charge enclosed within it. Now, statement of Gauss law: the total flux of the electric field E over any closed surface is equal to 1 upon epsilon 0 times the total net charge enclosed by the surface. So, phi equal to closed integral E ds equal to q upon epsilon 0. Now, here total flux is denoted by phi. Now, the Gauss law, that is the total flux of the electric field E or any closed surface, is equal to 1 upon epsilon 0 times the total net charge enclosed by the surface. This law relates the flux through any closed surface and the net charge enclosed within the surface. Here, Q is the net charge inside the closed surface. This closed hypothetical surface is called Gaussian surface. Gauss law tells us that the flux of E through a closed surface S depends only on the value of the net charge inside the surface and not on the location of the charges. Charges outside the surface will not contribute to phi. Equation 1 holds only when the charges are lying in vacuum or air. Now, see proof of the Gauss theorem for a charge inside the closed surface. Now see in figure, consider a single point charge plus q situated at point O inside a closed surface S. Let ds be a small area element at a distance r from q as shown in figure. See distance of this from the point Q, that is a R. Now E equal to 1 upon 4 pi epsilon 0 Q upon R square R cap. The flux through the area ds is given by d phi equal to E ds equal to E ds cos of theta from the figure. See, the flux through the area ds is given by d phi equal to E ds equal to E ds cos of theta. So d phi equal to 1 upon 4 pi epsilon 0 q upon r square ds cos of theta. So here E having the value, that is 1 upon 4 pi epsilon 0 q upon r square. So d phi equal to q upon 4 pi epsilon 0 ds cos of theta upon r square, where ds cos of theta upon r square equal to d omega, that is a solid angle subtended by the area ds at O. See that angle, that is a d omega having ds cos of theta upon r square. Therefore, d phi equal to q upon 4 pi epsilon 0. Putting the value of ds cos of theta r square is d omega here. The total flux through the entire closed surface S is given by, so taking integration of this equation we get phi equal to closed integral of d phi equal to q upon 4 pi epsilon 0 in closed integral d omega equal to q upon 4 pi epsilon 0, where integral closed integral of d omega equal to 4 pi. So putting the value of here 4 pi. Therefore, as the total solid angle subtended by us at O is 4 pi, that is d omega equal to 4 pi. So q, therefore phi equal to q upon epsilon 0. Now Gauss law holds even if there are a number of charges q1, q2, q3 up to qn enclosed by a surface S. We know from the principle of superposition that the electric field due to a number of charges is the vector sum of their individual fields. So phi equal to closed integral E ds equal to 1 upon epsilon 0 summation of qi I varying from 1 to n, that is equal to q upon epsilon 0. So here q is the total charge inside the surface as shown in figure. So for a charge outside the closed surface, in that case we consider a point charge plus q is situated at O, the closed surface, outside the closed surface. See that surface area as shown in figure, that is S is the, consider here the surface S, and here the plus q is point outside the closed surface and denoted at O in figure. Let an elementary cone from O with a small solid angle d omega, see here, cut the closed surface at two elements of area ds1 and ds2. Magnitude of flux through ds1 and ds2 are equal. Flux through ds1 is an inward flux. Flux through ds2 is an outward flux. Therefore, total flux through ds1 and ds2 equal to minus q upon 4 pi epsilon 0 d omega plus minus q upon 4 pi epsilon 0 d omega. Therefore, total flux through ds1 and ds2 equal to 0. The entire closed surface can be considered to be made of pairs of elements like ds1 and ds2. Thus, the total flux due to a charge outside is 0. Now, differential form of Gauss law. Suppose the charge is distributed over a volume. Let rho be the charge density. Then the total charge within the closed surface enclosing the volume is given by q equal to integral rho dv. Now we can write integral form of Gauss law as closed integral E ds equal to 1 upon epsilon 0 integral of rho dv. By Gauss divergence theorem, closed integral E ds equal to integral of del dot E into dv. So comparing equation 2 and 3, we get integral del dot E dv equal to 1 upon epsilon 0 integral of rho dv. So since this is true for any volume V, integrands must be equal. Del dot E equal to rho upon epsilon 0. Electric potential. If A is at infinity, then VA equal to 0, W equal to VB, where W is the work done in moving a unit positive charge from infinity to point B, and VB with the potential at B. The electric field produced by a charge may be described in two ways: by electric field strength E and by electric potential V. The electric field strength is a vector quantity while electric potential is a scalar quantity. Both these quantities are interrelated. In the study of electric field, the electric potential is an extremely important quantity. We know that a free positive charge in an electric field tends to move along the direction of field. When a positive test charge is brought opposite to the direction of electric field, work is done against the Coulomb's forces of repulsion. Accordingly, the electric potential at any point in an electric field is defined as the total work done, external force, in carrying unit positive test charge from infinity to that point without any acceleration. If W is the work done in bringing positive test charge Q0 from infinity to any point in electric field, then potential at that point phi equal to W upon Q0. The electric potential is a scalar quantity and the SI unit is joule per coulomb or volt. 1 volt equal to 1 upon joule upon 1 coulomb. Now, equipotential surface. If all the points of a surface are at the same electric potential, then the surface is called an equipotential surface. In the case of an isolated point charge, all points equidistant from the charge are at the same potential. Thus, equipotential surface in this case will be a series of concentric spheres within the point charges as their center. The potential will, however, be different for different spheres. If a test charge Q is moved between any two points on an equipotential surface through any path, the work done is zero, and this is become because the potential difference between two points A and B is defined as VB minus VA equal to WAB upon Q. VB equal to VA, then W equal to 0. Hence, the electric field vector E must be everywhere normal to an equipotential surface. Two equipotential surfaces cannot intersect each other. Now see potential at a point due to a point charge. Now let plus Q be an isolated point charge situated in air. P is a point distance from plus Q as shown in figure. The magnitude of the electric field at a distance r from the charge plus Q is given as E equal to 1 upon 4 pi epsilon 0 Q upon R square. The potential at P is given by V equal to minus integration varying from infinity to R E dl. The displacement dl of the unit charge is directed towards the left as shown in figure C, is directed towards the right Thus the angle between E and DL is 180 degree. EDL equal to EDL cos of 180 degree, that is equal to minus EDL. R is measured from the charge plus Q as origin. As we move a distance dl to the left, the value of R decreases. Thus dl equal to minus dr. EDL equal to minus EDL equal to minus EDR. Therefore, equation 1 becomes, see in equation 1, that is V equal to minus integral from infinity to R EDL equal to minus infinity integral over EDR infinity to R. So V equal to 1 upon 4 pi epsilon 0 integral from infinity to R dr upon R square. Therefore, V equal to 1 upon 4 pi epsilon 0 Q upon R. So, that is potential. Now, potential difference between 2 points. Let RA and RB be the distance of 2 point A and B from the charge plus Q. Potential difference between A and B is given by VB minus VA equal to 1 upon 4 pi epsilon 0 integral from RA to RB dr upon R square. So VB minus VA equal to 1 upon 4 pi epsilon 0. Now putting this here, this limit is varying from RA to RB, and solving this integration we get 1 upon RB minus 1 upon RA. Potential due to a point group of point charges. Now, potential is a scalar quantity. In order to find the potential at any point due to a group of point charges, we calculate the potential due to each individual charges, considering the other charges to be absent, and then add up this potential algebraically. Thus, if there are n point charges, the potential at a point due to them is V equal to 1 upon 4 pi epsilon 0 summation of Qn upon Rn, where Qn is the value of the n charge and Rn is the distance of the charge from the point in question. If the charge distribution is continuous, then if the charge distribution is continuous, V equal to 1 upon 4 pi epsilon 0 summation of dq upon r, where dq is a small element of charge distribution and r is the distance from the point at which v is to be calculated. Potential and field due to electric dipole. A dipole consisting of two charges plus q and minus q separated by a distance 2d. See in figure. Dipole consisting of two charges plus q and minus q, see here, and distance of separation between these two charges is 2d. Dipole moment of electric dipole equal to p equal to q into 2d. Direction of p is from minus q to plus q. P is a point at a distance r from the center O. Angle POB equal to theta as shown in figure. See that angle POB is denoted here, that is shown, that is theta. Let us calculate the potential at P. AC and BD perpendicular to OP. Now see that AC and BD both are perpendicular to this OP. Potential at P due to the charge plus Q equal to 1 upon 4 pi epsilon 0 Q upon PV. Potential at P due to the charge minus Q, that is equal to 1 upon 4 pi epsilon 0 Q upon PA. So let us assume R is greater than D, then PA is approximately equal to PC equal to PO plus OC, that is equal to R plus D cos of theta. From figure, let us assume R is greater than D, then PA is approximately PC equal to PO plus OC equal to RD cos theta, and PB is approximately equal to PD equal to PO minus OD R minus D cos of theta. The resultant potential at P is V equal to 1 upon 4 pi epsilon 0 Q upon R minus D cos of theta minus Q upon R plus D cos of theta. So V equal to Q upon 4 pi epsilon 0 2D cos of theta upon R square minus D square cos square theta. D square cos square theta is less than R square, and so it can be neglected. Also P equal to Q into 2D, V equal to 1 upon 4 by epsilon 0 P into cos of theta upon R square, or V equal to 1 upon 4 by epsilon 0 P into R cap in, upon R square. Here R cap is the unit vector along R and theta is the angle between P and R, that is OP. So see first case, that is when the point P lies on the axial lines O, the dipole on the side of the positive charge theta equal to 0 and cos theta equal to 1. So V equal to 1 upon 4 pi epsilon 0 P upon R square. And in second case, when the point P lies on the axial line of the dipole on the side of the negative charge, then theta equal to 180 degree and cos theta equal to minus 1. So V equal to 1 upon 4 by epsilon 0 minus P upon R square. And when the point P lies on the equatorial line of the dipole, theta equal to 90 degree and cos theta equal to 0, therefore V equal to 0. Now see electric field. The field at P is calculated using the relation E equal to minus del V. Electric field is given as an equation E equal to minus del V. So the component of the field along the radius vector R is ER equal to minus dV upon dr, that is equal to minus d dr 1 upon 4 by epsilon 0 P cos of theta upon R square. So taking derivative with respect to R, we get ER equal to 1 upon 4 pi epsilon 0 2P cos of theta upon R cube. Now along a direction perpendicular to R, the field component here E theta equal to 1 upon R d theta 1 upon 4 pi epsilon 0 P cos of theta upon R square. So after taking differentiation with respect to theta, we get E here E theta equal to here 1 upon 4 pi epsilon 0 2P cos of theta upon R cube. So along a direction perpendicular to R, the field component E theta equal to minus 1 upon R d by d theta 1 upon 4 pi epsilon 0 p cos of theta upon r square. So E theta equal to 1 upon 4 by epsilon 0 P sine of theta upon R cube. The magnitude of the resultant field at P is E equal to under root of E R square plus E theta square. The angle theta phi, which the resultant field E makes with R, is phi equal to tan inverse E theta upon E R equal to tan inverse 1 by 2 tan of theta. Now, special cases, if P is on the axial line, theta equal to 0. E is in the direction of P and has magnitude 2P upon 2 pi epsilon 0 r cube. If P is on the equatorial line, theta equal to 90 degree. E is in the direction of P and has magnitude P upon 4 pi epsilon 0 r cube. Now dielectrics. A dielectric or an insulator is a material in which all the electrons are tightly bound to the nuclei of the atom. Thus, there are no free electrons to carry current. Hence, the electrical conductivity of a dielectric is very low. Glass, ebonite, mica, rubber, oils, etc. are examples of dielectrics. The ratio of the capacitance of a given capacitor with the material filling the entire space between its plates to the capacitance of the same capacitor in vacuum is called the dielectric constant or relative permittivity of the material. Thus, if C is the capacitance with dielectric material and C0 that in the then dielectric constant of the material is given by K equal to C upon C0. Now see polarization of dielectric. A nonpolar molecule is one in which the center of gravity of the positive charges, protons, coincide with the center of gravity of the negative charges. Symmetrically, molecules H2, N2, and O2 are non-polar. A nonpolar molecule has obviously a zero electric dipole moment. If the dielectric with non-polar molecule is placed in an electric field, the charge centers of an non-polar molecule becomes displaced. The molecules are then said to be polarized by the field and are called induced dipole. The molecules thus acquire an induced electric dipole moment in the dielectric direction of the field. A polar molecule is one in which the center of gravity of the positive charge is separated from the center of gravity of negative charge by a finite distance. The polar molecule is thus an electric dipole and has an intrinsic permanent electric dipole moment. In the absence of any external electric field, the individual dipole molecules are oriented at random and not net dipole moment is observed in the direct dielectrics. When an electric field is applied, the force on a dipole gives rise to torque, whose effect is to orient the dipole along the direction of electric field. The stronger the field, the greater is the allying effect. The alignment is, however, incomplete due to the thermal agitation of the molecule. The alignment becomes more and more perfect as the electric field increases or the temperature is decreased. Hence, a net dipole moment is produced in the dielectric. Thus, non-polar molecules become induced dipole, whereas polar molecules are oriented by the field and therefore have their dipole moment increase. The orientation of the induced dipole are of the permanent dipole in an external electrostatic field is such as to set the axis of the dipole along the field. This phenomenon is known as electric polarization. The magnitude of the induced dipole moment P is found directly proportional to the magnitude of the external electric field E. The direction of the induced dipole moment P is parallel to the direction of the electric field E, that is P is directly proportional to E or P equal to alpha E. The constant of proportionality alpha is called molecular polarizability of the dielectric. Now, electric polarization P is defined as the product of P, the core of the vector dipole moment of each molecule in the field direction, the number of molecules per unit volume. So, P equal to NP. Thus, polarization P is defined as the dipole moment per unit volume. It has the same direction as that of P and hence of electric field E. Unit of P is coulomb meter per meter cube or coulomb per meter square. Now see Gauss law in dielectric. Consider a parallel plate capacitor with plate area A and having vacuum between its plates. Let plus q and minus q be the charges on the plate and E0 the uniform electric field between the plates as shown in figure. Let PQRS be the Gaussian surface. By Gauss law, closed integral E0 ds equal to q upon epsilon 0. So E0 is parallel to ds and constant over the Gaussian surface. So closed integral E0 ds equal to E0a E0a equal to q upon epsilon 0 or E0 equal to q upon epsilon 0 a. Now suppose a material of dielectric constant K is introduced in the inverting space between the plates. The dielectric slab gets polarized. A negative charge minus q is induced on the surface and an equal positive charge plus q on the other. The charges minus q and plus q dash on the dielectric are called the induced charges or bound charges, while the charges minus q dash and plus q dash on the capacitor plates are called free charges. These induced charges produce their own field which opposes the external field E0. Let E be the resultant field within the dielectric. The net charge within the Gaussian surface is Q minus Q dash. Therefore, by Gauss law, closed integral E0 ds equal to Q minus Q dash upon epsilon 0 or EA equal to Q minus Q dash upon epsilon 0 or E equal to Q minus Q dash upon epsilon 0 A, where E0 upon E equal to K, where K is the dielectric constant. So equation 1 becomes E equal to Q upon K into epsilon 0 A. Inserting this equation, we get Q upon K into epsilon 0 A equal to Q minus Q dash upon epsilon 0 A, or Q minus Q dash equal to Q upon K. Substituting this value of Q minus Q dash in equation 2, so closed integral E ds equal to Q upon K epsilon 0. So closed integral over closed surface K ds equal to Q upon epsilon 0. It is thus Gauss law in the presence of dielectric. Here we see that the flux integral contains a factor K, and the effect of the induced surface charge is ignored by taking into account K and the dielectric constant. For dielectric constant, epsilon r is used instead of K. Thank you.